And good Sunday evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson with an update. Where is the snow? What's going on with this storm system? And, well, why have events been canceled and I'm sitting here and seeing only a few flakes? Well, those are some good questions. This storm system is very dynamic. It's still in the middle of it right now, and it's going to last into Wednesday morning for the region, at least through Tuesday evening. We still have winter storm warnings, but some warnings have been adjusted by the National Weather Service to winter weather advisories, and that includes our Northern Valley counties. Now, we do show some snow showers on the radar up near Grand Forks. Nothing, nary a flake really hitting the ground at all. Winter storm warnings do remain in effect for Fargo, Moorhead, for Valley City, not Jamestown, not Bismarck. They have been downgraded though in those areas as well to winter weather advisories. Here's what's going on. Not one model had a real great depiction of exactly what's going to transpire, especially when we're talking about these long-range models, and particularly when we get outside that window of 24 to 36 hours or so. So here's what we know, and let's get to your forecast. It's all beginning right now.
Now, a Hutch's Weather Update with Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson, brought to you by Robert Gibb and Sons.
All right. Thanks to you. Thanks to my sponsors, and thanks for all your fine support. Let's get you to the very latest as we take a look. There are still blizzard warnings out to the west of Sioux Falls. Nothing happening in that area yet at all. And we see this dry slot, if you will, or drier area between Sioux Falls and Rapid City. Snow between Bismarck and Rapid City is falling. What you see north of Grand Forks doesn't appear to be reaching the ground. And some of the heaviest precipitation now falling as rain in South Dakota. And this heavy batch of snow sliding just out of Rochester, heading into Wisconsin, is putting down some huge flakes in Wisconsin. Winter storm warnings for northern Wisconsin. What's going to happen? Where is it going to go? Here's the best I can tell you. Not one model has done very well. And I've tried to articulate the fact that this system can shift south a good 50 to 100 miles, leaving Fargo with very little, or actually going north and giving our neighbors in Grand Forks a little bit more. There is certainly uncertainty in our forecast as we head through the overnight hours. Hey, Pat, good to have you on from Battle Lake. I shoveled my stairs 3 times. Thank you so very much for the update. It'd be neat if you stuck a ruler in that and let me know what you've seen so far. Here in Moorhead, in the grass, I'm talking about the snow pack that's on the ground. Remember, we had 0 a couple of days ago, and now I've got 3 inches. I've shoveled twice. Not a lot both times, but there's an average of 3 inches on the ground. Now, that certainly isn't a big event, and the wind hasn't picked up yet. So when is it going to snow? Nancy says no snow in Arizona. Good. Barbara, thank you for tagging friends on this to keep you up to date. Let's get you the latest. Again, I want to reiterate, I will do my very best to pass along the forecast as I see it. And the other thing is that I'm showing multiple models to kind of give you a behind-the-scenes view at what we see. So in the forecast, it's absolutely correct. Not very many of these models do a fantastic job 3, 4, and 5 days out with systems like this most of the time, or many times, particularly when the models don't agree, as has been the case with this. However, several of the models did agree that from central South Dakota and into areas of Minnesota, central Minnesota, and possibly southeast North Dakota as well, some heavy bands of snow would fall. Where is it? So we're sitting here in Fargo, Moorhead, with about 3 inches on the ground. How much do you have? Go stick a ruler in it. It's not that windy yet. Let me know what you have. I'd love to see those in the comments here as we move through the evening. You can do that. Barely even flurries in Grand Forks. That's right, Nancy. Even though the radar here shows flakes flying in Grand Forks, they are not hitting the ground with any velocity or apparent impact. I'll show you where there is some impact here heading into the evening hours. Hi, Danny. No snow in Crookston. Good to have you on board. Lauren says, son's first birthday. Oh, good. That's fantastic. Happy birthday. What an exciting time. And last year we had much more snow on the ground. Nothing for this time. Thief River Falls says no snow yet. Here's what's happening. This storm system is not over, but here's what we can do. And here's what Hutch is going to do. I am going to look at and review the models that are in my hands right now. Again, winter weather advisory in Grand Forks and down south in Fargo, winter storm warning does continue. How much snow? Fargo is on that highly questionable area here. We could see more, though, in my opinion, as we've been talking about, just south and east of Fargo. We talked about it this morning. Models are starting to show that the greatest impacts would be to the south, and there may be lower impacts here. This is what we showed this morning, and I'll get this up here. No snow in Warren. Hey, yeah, we got some Hutch magic going on here. Not snowing in Sheldon. I've got a report there. A half inch in Nadawash, very light snow. There's this band where it's kind of falling apart. There is that blizzard warning, South Dakota. There's the winter storm warnings in red, Watertown, Fergus Falls. And there's this big break in the snowfall showing up right now over much of South Dakota and southeast North Dakota. The storm is not done. The storm is not over. Now, we do have some healthy snow showing up south of Bismarck and outside of Rapid City. Let me show you two things with this snow, first of all, that has Hutch, well, watching a couple of things. Here we go. Let's go to the South Dakota road reports, and I want to show you this because I know that my friends in South Dakota know this, but on I-90 outside of Rapid City, the radar is showing some dark blue bands. Is it snowing out there? You tell me. Let's take a look at this camera. This is where it is happening. Not many models had this. I did talk about the enhancement of snowfall potential as we went into the elevated terrain, but we can certainly see it's not only the snow, but there's some wind taking place here as well. That's pretty much whiteout conditions in that area, at least at camera level. Roads are completely covered with snow there. So that's the Black Hills. Now in South Dakota, near Sisseton, things have really quieted down, and the snow that was showing up to be pretty heavy this morning has receded just a little bit. We're not seeing as much snow. Jim says light snow at Leeds mostly has melted, 90% open ground like it simply was a couple of days ago. Brody, thank you so very much for your support of stars. I super duper appreciate it. Now, let's take a look at where the snow is falling. We did show you Rapid City. Now let's show you North Dakota by Bismarck. Remember the band on the radar right here? Let me pop this baby up. Here it is, snowing near Bismarck, right? What's showing up? We don't have a lot of cameras available to us here in Grant County for those folks in that area, as well as Fort Yates. We don't have a lot of cameras, but we do have some in the Bismarck-Mandan area. What's going on there? Here's a quick peek at that as we take a peek. Now, there is a travel alert in the purple counties. That means icy roads, travel with caution, have a survival kit. Hey, Jeer, thank you so very much for the stars. A light dusting reported also from Windy in Hines. And Trev says, how's Kindred area going to end up? Trev, I think we're in for some snow, particularly south and southeast of Fargo. I'm going to go over the hour-by-hour forecast, but I'm just going to say this. Let's look at these cameras first, but I'm going to say this now. I would love to have my face on. You know what? I'm going to put my face on. This is a challenging forecast. It's hard. Science is not exact, and we have numerous of very expensive, fast computers going through calculations, trying to estimate what the weather's going to be one day from now. Well, you get out 2 and 3 days, and the accuracy is falling off. And with a system like this, well, it's been a challenge. So I'm going to sit here. I'm not wearing a bag over my head. We're just trying to articulate the fact that we've got a change that we told you could happen yesterday. If you've watched Hutch's weather, you know that I've said there are these uncertainties. I hope that that communication has been clear. Now back to the North Dakota road reports, because I want to show you what's going on out by Bismarck. Now, in the Bismarck area, we can look at these cameras out near Mandan. Let's check it out. Here's Mandan. Oop, no image available there. Sorry about that. Here's on the hill on the west side of town, I-94, and we certainly see snow drifting across the interstate there. That's Interstate 94. Grant County, flasher showing completely covered roads there on North Dakota 21. So there is some wintry impacts moving into the Bismarck area right now, and it looks like a dose of heavier, faster accumulating snow. Let's check out that Carson area, New Leipzig, Elgin area. This area is showing up a heavier band moving in, and the visibilities are reduced in a couple of directions, particularly this one, as we are looking off across Highway 21. So the radar is actually showing us reality, what's going on outside of Rapid City and what's going on outside of Bismarck. Here's Jamestown. You know what? I've had a few of my viewers say, what's going on in Jamestown? Look at this. It looks like a very quiet weather event. No wind. Where's that wind, Hutch? You know what? It ain't here yet. It isn't here. It's down in South Dakota. It just hasn't moved up here as early as I thought it would. So the gustiest of the wind, not here yet. Is it coming? For some of us, it is. Todd, thank you so much. Lidgerwood has 3.5 inches today. Drifts are 7 to 12 inches deep. Margie, thank you. I'm going to write that down. Lidgerwood. And it's 3.5 inches. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate the measurements. It helps. Thanks, Karen, for the kind words, and thanks for tagging your friends. And 2 to 3 inches, Fort Ransom, down to the south. Now, there's more coming. Let's get to that, but let's take a look in Minnesota. Now we've gotten through North Dakota. Now the road's in Minnesota. Now, what you're going to notice on the Minnesota map here is that we have some pink, and the pink on the roads here is essentially where we have completely covered roads. Now, I just heard from one of you that out near Mahnomen, we don't have too bad of snow, but look at this road. This is near Lake Itasca on 71. That doesn't look too fun. It's completely covered with a combination of compact snow and very icy conditions. And we are seeing these asterisks indicating crashes in and around the area of Leech Lake, so not far from Walker. So use some caution out here driving around in Minnesota. The snow bands there are laying down the white. Now, as we get into Alexandria on Interstate 94, what do you think's happening there? We have tractor trailers sitting there, and well, they are parked by the side of the road, and the interstate you can see is pretty covered up with snow, and that's what's reported. We have asterisks all over the place here showing a number of incidents on I-94. This is near the St. Joseph area, St. Augusta, just outside of Sauk Rapids and Sauk Center. Here, check out this camera at the Avon area. Oh, there's another tractor trailer pit stop, if you will. The road, that doesn't show me much on the road surface there. Let's go out towards Sauk Center. And again, not too bad with the visibility right now in that particular area. So, a number of crashes on I-94 between Sauk Center, Sauk Rapids, and out towards Alexandria, Elbow Lake, and Dalton. We're seeing a couple of crashes as well. The road is reported to be blue. That means seasonal. Does this look good? Not really great. It's not terrible, but look off in the distance. You can't see. That's lower visibility in open country out there. So there is an increase in intensity across our Minnesota counties. So please keep that in mind. And you know what? In these areas, don't travel. These are going to be some of the harder hit areas. Even though we're getting a break in this US 12 area of Holloway right now, there is more snow to come. So without further ado, if I don't have any questions here, and if you have a question and I haven't seen it, they're flying by, go ahead and post it again if you don't mind. Thank you, Kelly. I love the compliments. I love you guys sharing and passing the word of Hutch's weather here. And again, I'm going to tell you this. I will say this with a smile, and I will tell you the truth. We have a storm system that's evolving as we speak, and it is going to continue all the way into Wednesday morning for some, and it's going to continue for much of the day on Monday. For many of us, the worst conditions will happen into Monday morning. Let me say that again. Here in the valley, in Fargo immediately, in our general vicinity, I'll put it up behind me, the worst of the conditions will be happening as we dive into the morning tomorrow. So this system isn't done. Now, we could still get zilch skunked. We could get just really left out and just get the original 3 inches of wet snow that we got on Hutch's South Moorhead lawn right now. And that would be it. But models don't indicate that. And let me talk to you about how I am going to forecast this. Okay, so this is what we have going on right now. The National Weather Service has all the warnings through Minnesota, through North Dakota, all of South Dakota, blizzard warnings, Colorado, you name it. The storm system is still evolving. We got a huge dry slot across most of the warned area here from Fargo all the way down to the mile-high city of Denver, Colorado, and Scottsbluff, Nebraska. What in the world's going on, Hutch? How can you eat a sandwich and not tell me what's going on? Well, here's what's going on. We have a band of snow to the west that is very heavy off to the east of Rapid City, where you see the dark blue. I'm turning off all of these colors, and I'm going to show you the fact that, well, this will help us see the radar just a little bit better. So let me go ahead and turn these off. Boom, there they are. They're off. Now we can look at the radar and see it. Heavy snow, Rochester and Red Wing. This is moving into Eau Claire and up parts of Wisconsin. This could give Wisconsin some of the heaviest snow they've seen for the better part of the winter, and that's what's going on with winter storm warnings in the central and northern part of the state. Now, it's very quiet in Fergus Falls. I know we need the snow in central parts of Minnesota. Where is it? Now, here's what we can do. There isn't one model that showed a forecast that looks like what we're seeing right now leading up to this. But what we're going to do is we're going to look at the models that we have, and I found two that have a pretty good grasp on where the heaviest bands are right now. Only two. The rest of them, garbage, junk. We'll throw them out with the bathwater. Oh, well, maybe I should have took a bath first. Okay, now let's take a look at this model stuff, shall we? Now, these high-resolution models, as I've talked about, do a pretty good job of allowing us to see the intensity of the storm. But let's start with this one. This is a rapid updating model. It updates every hour, and sometimes these are just junk on the hour, but other times they do a pretty good job. Now, we saw a heavier band of snow. We're looking at the 2300 time frame. Let's take a look at this and make sure we're looking at now. Oh, this one just won't do. Let's go back one more hour or two. Now, I want to point this out because one of the fun things about this particular model is when we come to the now time, okay? When we come to the now time, it doesn't do bad here, but it stinks like cheese over in western parts of the Dakotas. That's not what we're seeing. There's a little bit of that, but no, it's heavier outside of Rapid City. This model is not initializing very good. That means, how is the forecast going to be accurate tonight? It says what's going on out west completely disappears by the time we get to midnight tonight. Could that happen? Yes. Do I believe it? No, because it's not starting out accurately. But this model does show that the snow will continue, and here's Monday morning, and this is at 7 a.m. Then the snow returns to southeast North Dakota. It will be heavier south. There's a shift to the south by most of the models. How much more snow will Fargo get? Well, look how long this still says we'll see snow on Monday. This is all the way to your lunch hour. And here's your drive time home time frame. Still snowing, potentially. But remember, this model started out like smelly cheese, right? I don't like smelly cheese. Well, maybe there's some cheese I like that smells. How about you? Okay. Here's a model that I think does a gooder job of grasping what's going on in the Black Hills. Do you see it? There it is, a heavy band of snow moving out of the Rapid City area, and that is at about the time frame we're at right now. This model is initializing better there. It's initializing just fine here in Minnesota. It stinks like cheese here in North Dakota. It says we should be getting ridiculous amounts of snow in Fargo right now. What do you see out your window? So you see what I mean? Finding a model that is really doing a decent job at what we're seeing now and trying to put any weight or confidence in any one of these models is difficult for that reason. But this one does show also that the South Dakota snow continues all the way until midnight and beyond. It does eventually fall apart. It shows the focal point of the event when the low pressure right here lifts its way into Minnesota and the game is on. So this is by midnight tonight, heavy snow bands, I-29 corridor potentially setting up again into central Minnesota, raining in Minneapolis and Rochester where we've had some snow. Limburger. Yeah, Evan, that's right. Terry, thank you. Walcott, good to see you on board. Gouda, it's no good. The forecast is no good. Oh, Sarah, thank you so much. Crazy weather. We need the moisture. Lisa, I love your positive attitude. The European model is doing well, says Andy, and that one has been better, but it did a shift this morning. Remember last night, it wasn't shifted that far south, and now all of a sudden it is. I'll show you that if you want to stick around till to the end, Andy. It's kind of fun to look at that one. Here is a look at this particular model showing the snow continues Monday morning. You rise and shine, and it even has a pocket in Grand Forks, okay? So there is still potential that we could see some northwest Minnesota snow and take off. How long does it last? It snows all day Monday. Here is your evening drive time, still snowing. Fargo, even Grand Forks on this model, and much of central Minnesota where we really need the moisture. How long does it last? Oh goodness, this is Tuesday morning. Look at it snowing like crazy with north winds in eastern Minnesota, but for us it's starting to take off out of here by Tuesday morning. Two models, two different solutions. What do we believe? What do you believe? Should we look at one more? Here's another model that's starting out a little bit better than the first one. This one is another American model. It's a higher resolution model. Here we go. Let me see if I don't have a different one. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. It does have some heavier snow as we head into the late hours of our Sunday here in the Black Hills and heading towards Bismarck. Bing, bing, ding, ding. Oh, what do you notice? This model has a big old blank zone over the eastern Dakotas, just like what we're seeing now. I like this model. Oh, look at this. Heavy rain and snow moving into southern Minnesota. Well, it's a little too far south, but it's on. This is the goodest model I've seen so far. I like it. Do you like it? Well, let's see what it says. So this model by far is starting out the most best. Here we go. As we go through the night, quiet, quiet. The snow out towards Bismarck, it continues and it fizzles up after midnight. Most models are agreeing that out west stuff is going to start to dry up. That makes sense as most of the moisture and energy focuses here. This is midnight to 1 a.m. Bing, ding, 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 ding. There it is. Okay, rise and shine. Take 5 off of this. This is getting into close to midday tomorrow. So we could wake up tomorrow. It'll be windy. It'll be cooler. And we'll be like, still no snow. Hutch, what's going on? Then this model says, here we go. Little bit of snow, not much. Little bit of snow there, not as widespread as that last model we saw. And then this event is over. Nope, it's not over. It lasts into Tuesday morning. And then that's as far as this model goes. This is the model that started out the best. What does it say for snow? So I think we should check this one, and that's exactly what we'll do. Isn't meteorology fun? Okay. And you'll say, no, we can't believe this model. Well, look at this. It's still putting down more than 5 inches of snow in Fargo, potentially. This one even has some reasonable snowfall amounts up in Grand Forks. Let's turn this on to a 10-to-1 ratio for snow. That might be a little better in the south, and it still says a total of 4 inches. So, what does this mean? Let's take a look at when this one starts. This one starts Sunday midday. So the snow we have now is included in this. That's the inch or two that we've seen adding up today in Fargo. Okay. And then it continues on. And really the main additional snow comes in as we go through midday Monday and beyond. Okay. So many of us in Fargo-Moorhead may wake up to some snow continuing, and the wind will be increasing. And throughout the day on Monday, particularly the midday hours and beyond, it looks like it may continue. And the biggest area of impacts will be south of Fargo. So if you're in Hankinson, if you're in southern Otter Tail County, Dalton, Fergus Falls, all the way out towards the Battle Lake area, Wadena, Staples, Alexandria, Morris and Benson, Brandon, and Hutchinson. Sounds like a nifty town. Minneapolis, St. Paul, and points north, all the way to Duluth. That is where the impacts will be the greatest. Fargo sits on this ramp where we could see another 1.5 inches. Well, we could see another 4 inches. Seriously. And this band, because it's 2 days out before the heavy band, could still sneak a little north or even a little farther south. Those are the uncertainties we have. And that is why it's a very, very, very difficult job. And we have temperatures that are going to be changing and making rain in some places. The best chance for that's going to be southern Minnesota, seeing their snow change over. So let me see if there's a couple of questions here, and we'll see if there's something that you want to look at. Why not, huh? Let's talk shop here. Anthony, thanks so much. I appreciate your stars. Hiya, Hutch, says Jared, watching from Detroit Lakes, and Mom is watching as well. Good to have you on board. And I'll tell you what, we're getting a nice little break now, and you know what? We could use some snow. Ogama says, Paul says hi. Thank you. How much for Ogama? I tell you what, it looks like your area has a better chance at seeing some more significant snow than we'll see here in Fargo. And Grand Forks will see. You're still in the game for over 5 inches of snow, and it certainly could even be significantly more than that. Am I confident in this? Not yet. You see, this heavier batch is sliding off to the east. Models were showing that. But the main low, right down here near Des Moines, okay? The main low, oops, I don't want to do that. I want to go over here. So here's our main storm. When this batch of moisture and this energy that we're starting to see fire off here lifts north, and it moves more straight north, then that will be the event that we'll be watching for the heavier bands of snow. And does this move straight north or does it veer off this way? If it veers off to the east, then it's going to take more of the impacts in that direction. Most of the models have shown kind of this more northerly track through Duluth. And when that happens, the heavier snow will be just north and west of that low track, putting some of our lakes counties in that higher risk area. So we still have a chance at seeing some significant snow. The main event was supposed to be going with a lot more wind and some heavier bands of snow in places. The main event and the worst of the conditions on the models earlier said it's going to be the worst tonight through tomorrow. Well, tomorrow still stands a chance to be quite difficult. So keep that in mind. Don't poo-poo the forecast just yet. There still could be some significant snow. The best chance of significant snow is down here. Did I say poo-poo? Oh, I'm sorry about that. The stinky part of the forecast will look like it's going to be to the south and to the east of Fargo. We'll have an increased chance at seeing more snowfall. So here's what it means. I had this model on this morning and this forecast, and I just showed you another forecast. Thank you for all the stars. You all are fantastic. I appreciate each and every one of you for supporting Hutch's weather. Now, here is a look. And again, this is one that was similar to what we showed last night, and I had it on this morning. Here it is. Okay. This model said 4.9 total. Well, Hutch measured about 2 inches today total, and then another inch from the day before. So I've got 3 in the grassy areas of my lawn. Oh, exactly at 3 inches. Now, this says 4.9. We could see a little more. We could certainly see a lot more if this shifts just a little bit more north. There's the bullseye line right there. That's east central parts of South Dakota, all the way up to the Sisseton Hills and into Lakes Country. And it still says Ogama, Detroit Lakes, particularly Becker County on the eastern side as you get a little bit closer to places like Wadena, Staples, Motley, and look at Brainerd Lakes area. You're on that bullseye track in this particular model. So we still do have a very real risk at seeing some very lofty snowfall totals. However, in places like Grand Forks, Devil's Lake, and Minot, we're almost confident that you're going to see very little. The chances of this thing slipping north appear to be lower than the chances of it being a little bit more impactful for our southern counties. It really is the best we can do. It's very difficult to articulate that in a forecast, for my colleagues on television, and like I did for many years, very difficult to do this in 3 minutes on your newscast. So I'm really glad you have the patience to sit through and listen to Hutch explain a little bit more about what meteorologists are looking at. There's uncertainty in the forecast, and that uncertainty is greatest right here from Grand Forks to Fargo, okay? And that uncertainty is greatest or least great into central Minnesota. I still think we're going to have a major event there, and the risk of over 6-8 inches of snow still looks to be on. When is it going to hit? We showed you the models there just a moment ago. If you have anything you want to see, let me know. Rhonda says, poo-poo. Yeah, well, there's some stinky cheese in the forecast here, and don't poo-poo the forecast just yet. It hasn't been as bad as it could have been in Fargo today. Right now, we've got a lull in the snow taking place throughout most of the eastern Dakotas as we look on the radar one more time. And that lull is giving us a nice little break. Not a bad deal. You see that stretching from Fargo to Pierre, but look at what's going on outside Rapid City. I showed you the sky cam out there, or the DOT camera, and it's a whiteout out there in this little band of heavier snow. Now, every model I looked at, there's Wall Drug, right? There's the Wall Store, Wall Drug. I've been there. You've been there. We've driven through there as you go through the Badlands of South Dakota. Beautiful country, wide open, and a lot of wind and snow taking place there. What type of classes, Rex says, would I need to become a meteorologist? I always had an interest in weather. Rex, me too. There's a lot of science. There's a lot of math in meteorology. There's a lot of computers in meteorology. Realistically, if you have an interest in meteorology, it's a wonderful thing. And I don't know if you're in college, if you're in high school, or what your age group is, but learning as much math as you can be very helpful, and learning as much science as you can. Meteorology is a beautiful combination of physics, physical sciences, and chemistry. So if you have an opportunity to take some of those classes, those can help prepare you for college. wonderful colleges in our region offer degrees in meteorology, including the University of North Dakota in Grand Forks and including out in St. Cloud, Minnesota State. So check out those schools. They have wonderful programs right here, close to home, and you can learn more about what you might need to take to beef up your abilities to get into college to study meteorology like good old Hutch. Adam says a lot of Lakes area schools have closed for tomorrow. Adam, you know what? It's a tough call. It's a tough call for meteorologists as well. We do the best to articulate the risks and where the chances of impacts are greatest and what those impacts will be. Today, we were supposed to be started, Hutch was saying, be where you want to be by noon. Look what's going on right now, okay? Absolutely not much moved up here. We had some snow, but there was not the wind with it yet, okay? And we didn't have a lot of snow yet. I anticipated there could be some more by now. I certainly anticipated that as we went through the overnight hours, we would see more than this. But now, as we take a look at the new information from the computer models with this, why should you believe these computer models? Rex, you're welcome. Thank you for your interest. And you might go back to college for it. Well, I'll tell you what, there are some good jobs in it. Communication is another great thing to have. When you're talking about science, delivering that science information is a tricky subject. I've been trying to do better for 30 years, and it's a challenge. So we have uncertainties in our forecast here. Why should we believe tonight's forecast any more than we did last night's? Here is the thing. Leading up to this event, the storm was still off the shore of the Pacific Ocean. Now it's not. We have more observing stations on land than we do on water. And over land is where we launch our weather balloons to measure what's going on in the middle and upper levels of the atmosphere. So I am certain our models have a better chance now at figuring out what this storm is going to do. Now that it is on shore, it's making its way through the Rockies now and onto the northern and central plains. And I do believe we have a better idea. Let's take a look now, because somebody asked, what about that European model? Well, I think it's done pretty good so far today. Let me show you what it shows. I'll zoom in. I'll do one run and show you the national view through this storm. You can see it has rain moving through Iowa, snow moving through South Dakota, snow moving through parts of Minnesota, and the time framing on this is midnight tonight. Here is tomorrow. Fargo might see a taste of a snowflake or two there tomorrow morning to midday. Then after that, it moves out. And there's a little flurry activity in our area and wind, but it doesn't look too heavy for us. And then boom, it blossoms and intensifies right over Duluth, bringing a big winter event to central Minnesota, including Minneapolis, Duluth, and the northeastern part of the state in the Arrowhead of Minnesota. And it looks to be done by the time we get to Tuesday morning here. The problem with this is these are big time steps. If you watch, these are 6 hours in. What happens in between, this model doesn't show, but it has done a pretty good job with this storm, but it did just shift tonight. So if we look at what this model was showing yesterday at this time, if I can go back, it was showing a little bit more for Fargo. So it too has had its inconsistencies in all fairness as we look at what it was showing on Saturday's forecast right here. Loading up. Here's your storm, big snow, particularly south of Fargo as we go through Sunday night. So again, Sunday night was probably the time of intensification of the storm in the eastern Dakotas and Minnesota. It showed Fargo in the mix, a break, and then it moved straight north, and here it come. Back into Fargo and back into Duluth as we went to Tuesday. So all the models have had their challenges with this storm system, and that's what makes the uncertainty even greater for us. Mike says storm fizzled out for Fargo. Nothing to see here. Mike, for now, you're exactly right. Exactly right. Some of the models are advertising that we will still see a few more inches of snow as we go through the day tomorrow, and the wind could be strong. Ken, yes, there is a chance of seeing the snow in Fargo. I'll zoom this a European look up into the Fargo area so you can have a look. This is what the European model says, and it basically does say there'll be a chance of snow as we go into Monday morning and into midday and in the afternoon, but it's light with the heaviest precipitation in eastern South Dakota, Lakes Country, and northern Minnesota. But the European model, that is a global model, and some of our, I believe, our higher resolution models will do a better job at handling it. This is a look at the Canadian model, which I think did the best job with the last storm system that moved through, the Clipper along the border. This one shows that as we go into tonight, late, the storm system blossoms into the eastern part of South Dakota and southeast North Dakota. So it's still showing areas south of Fargo will have a greater impact. So certainly the heaviest chance and the greatest risk of some impactful snow and wind will be in the eastern part of the Dakotas, areas south of Fargo, areas east of Fargo into Lakes Country, and still an event. So I don't think it's over. I do think for Fargo, we will have a lower risk of seeing huge snowfall totals in Fargo, but the better chance of that still clipping our southeastern counties into Lakes Country. But the big winners will likely be, and Pedro agrees, if you can hear him, that central parts of eastern South Dakota into central Minnesota will still have that chance at seeing impactful snow. Mary says city buses were pulled off city streets at 6:30 tonight. What about central North Dakota? Well, this batch of snow here, every model is showing it dissipates by tonight just after midnight, and it doesn't reach beyond Bismarck and beyond Pierre. So this is some of the heaviest snow that we have right now, but the main low is forming right here. What's going on and what's producing this is a moist flow of air up above the storm system. So we're watching this one and seeing if it will dissipate. It should dissipate. Every model shows that it will as we go through the late night hours tonight. So that means for Jamestown, for the Steele, North Dakota area, for Ellendale, the chances of you getting heavy snow, not that good. Not that good. But this area will likely see an increase in the eastern part of South Dakota into southeast North Dakota, where Hutch's big fist is and my hand is. This area will see an intensification of snow as we go into tomorrow morning with this batch of moisture and the low pressure lifting northward. That's what it looks like. No snow in Grafton yet, and it doesn't look like a great chance there. With this strange weather pattern, do you think it might look like the summer? More storms? Thanks for keeping us informed. You know, that's a difficult proposition to ask for. We have been in a drought. And so what happens to our storm pattern as we go into the summer? Well, that can be impacted by a dry ground. So if we don't get a lot of moisture here as we close out winter and head into our spring months now, if we don't get some good wet moisture into the soil, then it's going to be pretty dry. And that trend oftentimes can extend into the spring and into the summer. All right, so that's a look at your forecast. Thank you guys very much. I'm looking for questions here. Hi, Pedro, says Laura. He says hi, his tail's going. All right, what about central North Dakota? I think I just answered that. And let's see, Crookston. You know what? The models are not showing much for Crookston. I'm going to put up my forecast map again here for snowfall. There we go. Sorry about the wait. Okay, so if you look at this, the impactful snow track is going to be to the south. There is a chance Fargo and points south could still see impactful snow. I say Fargo, but really Fargo looks to be right on that line. It doesn't look like we're going to see a ton more snow in Fargo based on this particular model. There are a couple that show more, but I think the trend is for this thing slipping south. And the hours of snowfall that we will get will be tomorrow. So it doesn't really return to our area until we get into the beyond midnight time frame, and maybe even as late as noon based on the model I showed you. So that said, there's still our uncertainty. Uncertainties still exist. It does look like for you folks out in Crookston, you're in this lower impact area. You've been placed in a winter weather advisory now. You're no longer in the winter storm warning. And the snowfall amounts here, we have 0 so far. And this model says you might get a couple inches tomorrow as this low moves north. I think that that's still a possibility. I still think you could see some snow, some moisture. Bemidji, Red Lakes, you'll have a greater chance if you're up there in the Grigla area up towards Roseau County, a decreased chance of seeing much impactful snow at all. Here's where we have a better chance at seeing it. Anywhere you see the pink colors, we have a legitimate shot at seeing 6 or more inches of snow. That really does not include Fargo, but we'll see how things develop tonight. So I hope I've articulated why this has been a challenge. There are very few models that are showing what we're seeing on the radar right now, and the radar right now is showing that we have heavy snow in southern Minnesota. We have a heavy snow band moving off to the east of Rapid City right now, and some heavier snow moving through Grant and Sioux County in central parts of southern North Dakota tonight. That's it. The snow you're seeing in Grand Forks doesn't look like it's even hitting the ground based on what we're seeing on DOT cameras that we showed a little bit earlier. So that's my update for right now. I will try to put up another one here as we go toward the late evening hours. There is another model that comes in, but it won't be fully in until after around 11 o'clock at night tonight. So really, I don't expect you to wait up till 11 o'clock tonight. I'll put up an update with some information based on what I think we're going to expect. But again, from this, I did show you our model, and I showed you the one I liked. I'll put it up here one more time in case you're just joining. Here's a look. Now I'm going to switch the model over to the one that we found that looked like it was taking a better avenue of this storm. Showing the dry slot over Dakotas right now. Here it is. Okay. And it shows that we're quiet until we get into the morning hours tomorrow. And this is basically 8 to 10 a.m. Then we start to see the wind and snow return. And it could snow for the better part of our Monday, very close to Fargo, but particularly south and particularly east of Fargo with the heavier bands. And with this particular model and the snowfall potential from it, I'll show you that one more time. I do like the way this one is starting out. I do like the way that it finished up. It's still showing some pretty lofty snowfall totals for Fargo. And I don't know if I believe that it's going to be a total of 9 inches here. But I do think we do have a chance at seeing another 3 to 5 inches on top of the 2 to 3 we've got, and increasing snow amounts as we get into the Sisseton Hills into Lakes country. Do we still have a chance at seeing 16 or more inches of snow? If we do, the 6 to 16 inch snowfall that we're talking about looks like it will be out for you folks in Traverse County, maybe Roberts County, and sneaking up into parts of Otter Tail and parts of, well, Wadena County, as well as the Brainerd Lakes area. And it goes all the way up to Park Rapids and close to Bemidji as well. That looks like where we could still see on Monday the main event taking place. And this model had the best initializing. The first few hours of the model look more like the radar does right now than any other model. So that's why I picked it, and that's why I showed it. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your compliments. I hope that that clears up some of this mud. I understand those of you who feel like you blew it again, Johnson, but we didn't say it was all going to fall tonight on Sunday. It was supposed to start by noon. We got some snow. We didn't get the wind yet. When does it come back? It looks like this dry slot that we see on the radar right now will last at least until the wee hours of the morning, when this energy that we see in Sioux Falls moves northward. That will begin to return the snow chances to our area. That's a look at what I have for you right now. I really appreciate all of you for joining me, and I appreciate your patience with what's been a challenging forecast. So for myself and Pedro and Leo the Lion Cat, we will be back after working our tails off, trying to sort all of this out for you and give you the best report that we can. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, and I'll check back